Welcome to the OBR streaming network, where we are live with a brand new edition of All Eyes on Cleveland. My name is Brad Ward. I am your host. The man next to me, you know well, Hard Knocks Case tonight, the one and only Casey Kinnaman. You can catch Casey as co-host of the Barking Browns podcast, Off the Leash podcast, and here every Thursday night on All Eyes on Cleveland with me. You can follow him on X at Casey_Kinnaman. Special guest with us tonight, Sam Penix. Known Sam a long time, great football mind. Glad to have him on tonight. Follow him on X at Sam_Penix. He's an expert in film study, the NFL draft. He writes for Fansided and previously worked for PFF. Glad to have you tonight, Sam. What's up, my guy?
Nothing too much. I'm glad to be with you guys on here.
Yes, absolutely. What is up, chat? As they are rolling in, Drew, Fumble, Larry, good to see you guys tonight. 145, 46, 47, 48, 49, 41, 50 people. If you're over on X, hop on over to youtube.com/Orange and Brown Report. Hit like, hit subscribe. Atone for your sins. Hit the buttons that you're supposed to over there. What is up, Big Case Dog?
Now, it sounds like a reversal of fortune. It sounds like you guys got the weather I'm used to having down here. Sounds like you guys are in the middle of a heat wave up there.
Yep. It's very warm. Staying inside as much as I can. Air conditioner running nonstop in the car. Yeah, it's not great. I'm not a fan of it. I'm like a jacket weather guy, you know. That's what I.
So when it's like real cold, you're not like thinking of these days. You're not like, man, I can't wait for summer.
No, I want like low 70s to high 60s.
Round.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Your partner with a nice comment there. All right.
Seek medical attention for that.
Yeah, there's things you can do for that. Drew said he broke a sweat walking to the car after work. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, for sure. Drew, dude wipes Jacob.
Yeah, a man pawn.
Yeah. So, Brad Iceman Ward. yeah. I not. It's not that. It's just you know. Who wants to sweat constantly? Nobody, right?
I love hoodies.
Yes, I love hoodies too. I love jackets. That's what I want to wear. That's what I'm comfortable in. 70 degrees. Like Colorado weather. It's like perfect. Summer, I think. I feel like. I spent a summer in Colorado and it was really nice. The temperature never gets too hot. Just throwing it out there.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right, gentlemen, we got some things to discuss tonight. We are in the dead period, the 6-week dead period, post minicamp, pre training camp. Now, I think we said this, Casey. We said, all right, hopefully no news from here. Training camp is, you know, any news that comes up during that time is usually not good news. And for Lonnie Phelps, it was not good news. So, Lonnie. Phelps reportedly crashed his SUV into a restaurant and refused to cooperate with police officers. He also refused a breath test. At one point during the police interview, Phelps turned away from the officer saying he was afraid he would be shot. The defensive end also had trouble answering the officer's questions. Report stating Phelps and his female passenger appeared to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. The building's owner estimates the damage caused $300K. The restaurant was closed at the time. Phelps is 24. In August, went undrafted last year out of Kansas. I liked Phelps' game. Mm-hmm. He has since been waived by the Browns. So he is gone. They did not hesitate. They have dismissed Phelps. He was a priority UDFA, no? Did they pay him some extra money? I think they did. Sam, thoughts on
I think he stayed an extra year at Kansas after transferring him. did him some good. But yeah, he was a priority last year.
Yeah. He had some talent. This is disappointing. You never want to hear this stuff. Any thoughts on Lonnie Phelps' departure, Sam?
I mean, he was going to be a practice squad guy at the most, anyways, because they're not keeping six edges. So he didn't have a shot at making the team, barring a most significant injury. But I'm kind of surprised that they cut him so quickly. I mean, I think it was the right move, but based on their history with other infractions, they're not usually that quick to rush to judgment. I mean, I know their assistant wide receivers coach got busted for a DUI a couple of years ago, and didn't hear anything after that. So, and I don't need to comment on other things.
Yeah.
Other things that may have gone on. So,
yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's you never want to see stuff like that. It's unfortunate, but you move on, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Case, where you at with this? I mean, it's not a massive deal in regards to the Browns at all.
Yeah.
Do you think he gets another chance in the league?
I don't know. This is just a classic case of be who you can afford to be. And if you're a UDFA, you can't be having any infractions, let alone something as egregious as this that causes $300,000 in property damage on a DUI and you're uncooperative with police, But, if this would have been Myles Garrett, there would have been a different statement released today talking about we stand with Myles in this difficult time. And, you're Lonnie Phelps. It's hit the bricks, young man. Yeah. He's young enough that some team might take a flyer on him just to bring him into camp, depending on what kind of trouble he gets into or what suspension he's facing too. But it's when you're a fringe player like that, like Sam said, man, I think best case scenario is practice squad. When you're in this particular room, you're looking up at, obviously Alex Wright and Elijah McGuire, but also Isaiah Thomas. Like you're down on that pecking order, and you're a fringe practice squad player. This is a no-brainer. You move on, and he might get a shot at somewhere else that has a weaker room.
Yeah, I hope he catches on somewhere. Feel bad. That's
personally, this sucks for him, but like professionally, he wasn't going to play here.
No,
you know what I mean. Maybe it forces him to straighten up, and he gets an opportunity, and makes the most of it.
I read one report where they were asking him where he was driving before he crashed. Did you read that report?
No, I did not.
No. So they said, where were you driving? And he kept saying, in front of here. And they're like, yeah, we know that. We know you were in front.
We figured that out.
Right? Like, and they're like, so where were you driving? And he kept going, in front, right out in front of here. No, you idiot. Like, where was your destination? So I guess.
But he only appeared to be under the influence, right?
He appeared, yes. I had one. Allegedly.
Jail was his destination.
Allegedly. Was under the influence. So, yeah, it's a tough one there. At least it's not a player of significance. Knock on something.
And no one was hurt. These are, this is a completely different conversation. If this ends in a different way. Could have been a lot
worse. Yeah.
Could have been a lot worse. Absolutely right. Well said. All right. As you guys have all, lots of you have filed in. Welcome to All Eyes on Cleveland. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the new channel, youtube.com/Orange and Brown Report. I want to try something real quick, gentlemen. So on Tuesday, I do the React with Pete Smith on the same channel. And for whatever reason, total technical difficulties this week, couldn't get videos to play at all. And that sucks when that's what the premise of your show is. So I want to see if I have, I want to see if I have fixed it, and we can watch this video as well because it pertains to our next topic anyways. So let's give this a shot here and see if we have. I'm going to be very irritated if it's not fixed. I will just tell you that much. Where are we at here? All right.
Cooper was in town for that. Amari Cooper not present at mandatory minicamp. He's due to make $20 million this year in the final year of his contract. Now, this is a contract that, as of 2 years ago, the Cowboys were like, we can't pay this guy $20 million a year. They were going to cut him until the Browns offered him, what was it, like a 6th or a 5th round pick or something like that. They were going to cut him in lieu of paying him $20 million. Now the Browns have him for $20 million. He's like, no way, no way. And look at what the salary cap's done. Look what the market's done. $20 million for Amari Cooper isn't enough. Here's Deshaun Watson from yesterday's mandatory minicamp media session talking about his teammate and friend, Amari Cooper.
Nothing. Amari's our brother, our teammate. We support him, and the decisions that he got to make for himself is on Amari. So, but everyone in this locker room respect him and know exactly what he's about. And whenever he get back, he's gonna be ready to go. Me and Amari, we talk all the time. We go, different vacations together, things like that. So, me and him are super tight, and with all the other receivers and guys too. So he's always around us. He's the best in the game, and I believe that. He shows it each and every year. He showed it the last 2 years with different quarterbacks. So I think you got to put him up there, if not the best.
Look, this is the way you do it. We had this conversation not that long ago, and I mentioned it in a post that I put at PFT this morning before the show started. The Brett Favre comments about Javon Walker from 19 years ago, which are just laughably dastardly.
Yeah.
That Favre was so all in against
Dastardly.
Javon Walker trying to get paid. You support your teammate. You support his effort. And here's Deshaun Watson on top of saying he's got to do what he's got to do as it relates to his contract, saying he's the best in the game. So, hey, front office, wake up and pay this guy. Again, last year of his contract, $20 million, looking for security beyond this year, looking for more money, and the Browns have to decide whether or not they're going to do it.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Where do they go? I mean, again, they just traded for Jerry Jeudy, right? They do have some younger receivers on the roster that I think they got, high hopes for, that they can contribute in the future. Whether that be Bell or Cedric Wilson, who they drafted out of Tennessee 2 years ago in the draft.
Cedric Tillman? Not
I don't know
Cedric.
Cedric Wilson. I'm not familiar with his game.
Yeah, I don't like.
He's
Yeah,
Wilson.
not Cedric Wilson. Cedric Tillman. That's okay. I like Sims. I'll let him get away with it. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about the way they frame the situation and see if you agree with it. Okay, so we'll continue with this just a little bit further.
Right? Cooper is still damn good. Like, there's no denying that. I mean, Cooper is explosive. We saw last year. I mean, he's capable of going 80 yards to the house and going right over the top and saying, see you later, right? So, I understand where he's at as far as, like, looking at the current contracts and going, wait, Justin Jefferson isn't almost twice as good as me and some of these other guys that are making huge money now and where the market's gone. So I understand that. But this is one where legitimately I go, I don't know what I'd do if I'm Cleveland. Again, we do know the draft, wide receivers are growing on the trees like we've talked about. They just traded for a Jerry Jeudy who I think, again, was maybe overhyped in the draft and now is not getting the respect he really probably deserves for how good he is now. I think he's got some real talent. And they got other guys that are coming up too. So I don't know where this goes, Mike. This will be interesting. What do you think? You think they pay him and try to extend him? Or do they just kind of play hardball and go, we'll see how the year goes and we'll reassess at the end of the season or after the season?
It's going to be tough to do. It really is. And they had to see this moment coming. This is a team that has a strategic officer. I can't remember the specific title of the baseball guy.
Yeah, DePodesta. Right, yeah, right.
Yeah. They have
strategy,
considered this.
right, isn't it?
Chief strategy officer.
Yes,
That's it. Chief
right.
strategy officer
Right.
of the Cleveland Browns. So they have a strategy for everything, or at least, if they don't, they know who to blame. But they've gamed this out. They know what they're going to do. And this was kind of a surprise yesterday. Amari Cooper wasn't on the list of hotspot potential mandatory minicamp holdouts. So they've got to figure this out. And with the market at 35,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you really do? And do you ultimately say to Amari Cooper, hey, you signed a 5-year, $100 million contract. That's what the market was at the time. You signed for 5 years. This is your contract. You finish the contract, and then you can go become a free agent. The market will decide what your value is. There's going to be guys, and Brandon Ayuk has been our primary example so far this year, who get caught up in this no man's land between rookies who are under the lowest possible contracts relative to what veterans make and the best of the best receivers who are going to get theirs. Is Amari Cooper really among the best of the best?
Well, yeah, let's talk about that.
Understand and appreciate Deshaun Watson supporting
Yeah,
him.
right,
But
right.
when you start listing top receivers, you're going to get through, 7, 10 before you get to Amari Cooper.
I think respectively, right? Like I always say, I think
7-10. That's a little bit favorable. I think. I don't know. Let's start there. Top of the market is $35 million. Sam, what do you think they want money-wise? And then we'll go over what our report from Brad Stainbrook was. But what do you think? Like, if you were in Amari Cooper's camp, what would you tell him? First of all, I think that if I was Cooper's agent, I think you are doing him a disservice if you didn't tell him to hold out, at least for minicamp. I wouldn't let him step foot on the practice field until we had guaranteed money on this year. That's too risky, right?
Yeah, like I think that's one of the biggest sticking points is not necessarily his salary, but the fact that there's none of it is guaranteed or very little at least. And, like at $20 million a year, he's not going to get like a significant raise. Like he'll get a few million more, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 at the most, absolute most, I think. Was he 30, pushing 30?
Yeah, I just turned 30 on
30,
Monday.
Yeah. He's like, and his camp is going to be all aware of this stuff. Like they're not, I can't imagine they're going into negotiations thinking, yeah, we want top of the line money because we feel like he's the best receiver in the league. Like I'm sure they're realistic about his value and his worth and what he should be paid based on his skill set and where the market is. So I don't think it's as big of a deal as some people are making it out to be, because like it's entirely logical from his end, to hold out, because playing at the last year of his deal at probably a little bit less than what he's worth relative to other players with minimal guarantees in that contract is just not a smart move for a player of his age. So, figuring this out, getting a 1 or 2 year extension, which I think makes the most sense for both sides, barring something unexpected, becoming available in like the trade market or something. I think that makes the most sense. And I think it's probably what's going to end up happening over the next month or two before training camp gets started.
Yeah. So Casey, the report from Brad Stainbrook is that they're like pretty much in the same ballpark as far as money goes. The sticking point is years and length, which makes sense, right? So, what do you think that money figure is?
Honestly, probably look at the receivers on the board there, 26 to 28.
I think that's high.
Feels high, but look at the market, man. Like what's crazy is you see a receiver like on that, because in my mind I have him slotted kind of with Mike Evans. Aging guy, still produces, still getting it done. Hasn't shown any decline yet, but you can't be too far off just based on your age. And he's making 20.5. So I think
that's a new deal.
Yeah, I think Evans did a team friendly deal. But if I look at people on there like Calvin Ridley, even Terry McLaurin, I think Amari's better than those guys right now.
Yeah.
I just
Ridley.
don't know. That's where the years come in, right? Like if it's just a matter of reworking his deal for this year and next year, and that's $50 million or so, and he wants that third year, and I think that's where the bridge is. You know what I mean? I think that's just where they're coming to an impasse.
So, but you think it goes as high as So you mentioned Ridley he's 29. He's a good comparative guy. I don't really use Devontae Adams in this. He's kind of an outlier. But he is up at 28 million and he's almost 30, or he's 31 or something like that, right? Yeah. And then Cooper just turned 30 and Evans just signed his deal at like 20.5. I kind of thought the figure would be right at 25. Mm-hmm. You think it goes higher than that?
I just think that's the ballpark. I mean, I think the upper end of that's 28, 25, 26. I think this is probably pretty likely just based on where he's at, but you can't go along with that based on the fact that he's 30 years old. It's a weird situation because you understand him. He wants to get paid. He wants security.
Yeah.
And we don't know inside the player's mind if he wants to play 3, 4, 5 more years. That window's not that long in Cleveland for him at that rate. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, so I look at it as we've talked about this before, but just kind of want to reiterate. So when it comes to the years, like I think for the Browns, I would be fine with giving him a pay raise, signing bonus, whatever this year. Get him up to 25, 26, whatever the number is. Guarantee that money. I'd give him guaranteed next year. And then I want to be able to get out of his deal after when he's 32.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reports are though that the Browns have only offered 1 year of guaranteed money.
Is that in
which would be-
addition to this year?
No, I think like this year.
Yeah.
I think they're saying, and then they are like giving him. They're fine with giving him extension, but none of that is really guaranteed. So like, hey, we'll give you the extension, but you're gonna have to earn it going forward. Well, he's in the same position he is next year.
Exactly.
then.
Yep.
So that's you can see why they're at a sticking point right now. Does this, in your opinion, Sam, does this get done before training camp?
I think based on how the team operates and the importance of him to the offense this year, I think yes. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Like he's the 20th highest paid receiver right now in the league based on average value, and like he's better than 20. Like he's absolutely top 15.
Yeah.
And then you're going to add on Lamb, Ayuk, and Chase pretty soon. So he's quickly going to become 23rd. And he's, he knows how much he's worth based on the other contracts in the league. And the team is going to understand that as well. Obviously, they're going to want a shorter term deal with less guarantees than he is. That's just how contract negotiations work. But I don't see any reason why they can't find something that works for the both of them. Like it'll probably end up being mostly, if not completely guaranteed for this season, and then a decent amount next year. I don't think he'll get the whole thing guaranteed next year, but even though that's probably what they're asking for at this point,
Yeah.
I think it just makes the most sense for both sides to keep him around for at least 2 more years, and then go from there. Like likely it'll be somewhere else for him, but you never know.
Do you think, first of all, 2-part question, Casey, do you agree with that it'll get done before training camp? And then the second part of the question, if you're the Browns, like I feel like I would give him, like you can make this contract look like whatever you want to make it look like, really. Like you could make this look like 32 APY and it'd be nowhere near that if you wanted to. So would you be willing to give him more money for less years? Like if you're going to make a concession for the Browns, I'll give you more money per year or more guaranteed money this year even, or a higher, signing bonus to make sure you don't get into a third year of guaranteed money.
Well, first, yes, I do believe it'll get done before training camp.
You
It
do.
makes too much sense not to. He is your number one. It's not. This is a necessity. The offensive plan looks massively different if you don't have Amari Cooper to rely on.
All right, devil's advocate. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
He can't overplay his leverage. If they can't he can't sit out this year. So he's gonna play regardless.
Yeah.
So they're not in danger of him not playing this year, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think that there's a chance he sits out if they don't get a deal done. I think
Right.
Then all of a sudden you're just fast forwarding in the scenario that would play out next year is playing out this year, and he's betting on himself, and then and then he just wouldn't be here beyond this year. It makes too much sense, man. I love the promise of this wide receiver room, but without him, that promise is a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He provides so much stability for that room just being there. So if there's anything I can do to secure his services for the next 2 seasons to give myself a wider window to figure out what I got with receivers 2, 3, 4, 5, I think that's invaluable. But if not, you got to find a plan B real quick.
Yeah. So I tend to agree with you guys that I think they will get it done somehow. And I think you make a good point, Sam, that even just some guaranteed money in next year, it doesn't have to be anything. Initially, I was saying I thought it would be like the base construct of the salary or the new deal would be like 2 years, including this year, $50 million, right? 25 and 25. And be out after that. And you can make it 4 years, whatever, and make it look like whatever you want, but you can tear up those last few years if you want. Sam, you kind of bring up the idea that even just a little bit, a half year guaranteed money going into next year at least is better for the Browns and him. You know what I mean? You have some wiggle room either way. Like if you really want to eat $10 million and cut him because he was terrible this year, which I don't expect that to happen, you could. Or, on his side, he's at least guaranteed a roster spot, right? So I see how that could play out too. So that's interesting. The question here from the chat, and this was the other thing I wanted to revisit, is there a real option with Ayuk or Higgins trade here? I don't think so for Higgins. We've heard Ayuk's name tossed about. Now, this is the dream for me, so forgive me for my bias here. Ayuk is the dream. Is that it? In any chance of reality, Sam, that the Browns are like, hey, let's use this, if we can, pick up the phone and pivot to a younger number one, and we'll spend the money on him instead?
I'm not going to bet on it happening, but I wouldn't put it past the front office either, because I think they're the type to leave no stone unturned in trying to improve the roster. And I think you'd be hard pressed to argue that Ayuk wouldn't be a fairly significant upgrade over Cooper. Like, Cooper is great, but he's older and he's, top 15. Ayuk is 4 years younger? Isn't he like 26?
Yeah.
And he is like, at least last year, borderline top 5. Like, there's an argument to be made there. I know he played in, a good offense with a lot of different weapons and a good scheme, good play caller and everything. But the performance that he put up by himself, just individually, just the way he creates separation and just gets open and wins down the field at all three levels, it's extremely impressive. And he has turned, I remember a couple of years ago, people were like, yeah, this guy's kind of a bust. Like, he wasn't worth the first round pick. And he's developed, he's improved so much. And I think he's definitely one of the more underrated receivers in the league, just because people just don't know how good he truly is. And if the Browns are faced with the situation where, like, hey, we can hang on to Cooper for 2 more years, or we can part with a third or something similar, pay Ayuk pretty big money near the top of the market for now, like current market, and take care of our number one receiver position for the next 3, possibly 4 years, I think they'd strongly consider that if the 49ers were willing to part with Ayuk because they didn't want to or weren't able to pay him what he's worth.
Case?
Brad, you know damn well Ayuk was my white whale all season. And at the time when I was first considering this is even before the season ended, when we were looking forward to number 2, I was like, man, I think you could trade for Brandon Ayuk. And I thought you might get away with a second. They came back, said they need a first for Ayuk, but no one's bid on it. He's still just sitting there. They still haven't come to a resolution. So I'd be hard pressed to be mad about landing Brandon Ayuk on a 4-year deal. And you would have to pay damn near top of the market to make that happen. But then all of a sudden that wide receiver window is way wide because you have a guy who's just entering his prime, just coming, really getting into the top of his game. And it doesn't, even the fact that these rumors are going on, this does not hurt the Browns front office in negotiations with Amari Cooper. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, well, you're hearing there's other options out there. Yeah, it'd be money.
You're right.
It'd be money, Fumble. Mm-hmm. But that's what you're paying for. You're paying for a dude's entire prime.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's totally worth it. I would want them to pay him in a second. I mean, he's your one. He's locked in. He's better than Cooper. To Sam's point, he does everything you want your Cleveland Brown wide receiver to be. He's a tremendous blocker. He runs all the right. His route tree's fantastic. He gets separation. I think he would be good in the. I guess I'm gonna call it the hybrid Dorsey offense that we're trending towards, right? So, like, I guess. I love the idea of it. I just it feels too good to be true. I don't think I don't know if it'll happen.
I think the likelihood's low.
Yeah.
But the trade-off, I mean, he's up there with the best route runners in the league, similar to Cooper. He's younger. He definitely has more deep speed. Cooper, like and Sims earlier said, he can just go over top of you. It's not that easy. It's a double move. You know what I mean? He's just not running right past cats. But the one thing with Cooper that we don't know from Ayuk is consistency. Amari's the North Star, man. You know what you're going to get week in and week out. Ayuk's been more hit or miss, but he's also playing in an offense. He really doesn't toss the ball around a ton either. You know what I mean? So he was very efficient last year. My biggest knock on Brandon Ayuk remains the fact that he looks like Mike Tomlin.
He looks like Mike Tomlin.
Pull the picture up. Yes.
Gotta
Looks
find
like
it.
a young clone of Mike Tomlin.
Okay. Did you see him the other night on his Instagram Live? Did any of you catch that clip?
No.
No? So he was on. So it was him on the phone with Jaden Daniels and a female friend, sitting next to him, Instagramming live of him talking with Jaden Daniels on the phone. And he was talking, it was just a clip. It was like 4 seconds long or whatever, but it was him, and he's like, man, they told me they don't want me back. They told me they don't want me back. So it was trending. He was talking about the Niners, obviously, but I highly doubt they told him they didn't want him back. Yeah. But that's the narrative he's spinning. I think he wants out badly, right?
Well, they also drafted Ricky Pierce. Like you know what I mean? They're going to move on from someone. He appears to be the guy that's going to be on the outside looking in because of the money he's looking for, and they just don't appear to be willing for that.
They're high on Pearsall is the word too, right? They really like him. So, yeah.
He's damn near as old as Ayuk.
So, is he?
Yeah, he's 24 right now.
24. Yep. That's right. He was older.
He's an older rookie.
Yeah. Yep. So it's an interesting thing. Well, we'll keep you apprised, of course, at the OBR. Keep it locked over there for all things Amari Cooper and this holdout situation. I get the feeling it's not going to end like I would be shocked if it ended like tomorrow, right? Or in the next week or two, but probably like closer to camp. Doesn't it feel like? Would you guys agree with that?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like the first week of camp itself.
Do you think he'll continue his holdout through camp?
It depends on how close they are in negotiations. Like if it's getting down to it and it's close, he's probably not going to step foot until they sign. But if there's a visible gap in there and you're not going to get it, he'll probably just show up and play and bet on himself. I don't think he holds out, is what I'm saying. I don't think he's going to be a holdout into the season. I don't think it'll go into camp.
Into camp or the season?
It just depends on where they're at in contract negotiations. Like if they're seriously close to the finish line, he's not going to show until it's done.
Right.
But if they're not even negotiating, and it's
the writing's on the wall,
shows up? I mean, he's a professional, man. Amari's a professional. I was shocked he wasn't at the mini camp we just had.
I would advise against it strongly if I was his agent. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem like the guy who would do a long holdout. But I mean, you never know. It's a business. Like every player, I shouldn't say every player. Vast majority of players are, they're competitive. They do their job. They're hard workers and everything, but they deserve to be rewarded for that. And they need certain securities and guarantees in their deals. And Cooper is one of the better receivers in the league. He's on his last deal and he has zero guaranteed money. Like I think in the event of a serious injury like that would be pretty harmful for his financial future, relatively speaking. So, it's in his best interest personally to get that addressed before he starts putting himself back into harm's way. But whether that, ends up including training camp or not, I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see. I don't know that I could say I would be necessarily surprised either way, but I think it's always hard to gauge someone's business negotiation based on their personality as a player, because they're two separate things.
There.
We almost have to gauge it more on what we know of the agent.
The agent. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He chooses his agent. Does he have a Mulligata?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So like he's gonna get what he's worth. Like that's how
for
his
sure.
negotiations go. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I was thinking of it too. Like a guy who's going to play hardball all the way through and make sure he gets it. So, something to keep an eye on. Obviously, it's given us something to talk about during this 6-week period. But I'd like to see them get it figured out without giving him. And then the Browns, I don't think the Browns ever would. Give him more years than they want to. I think the Browns are more likely to force him to play on this year's deal than they are to give him 3 years of money. Would you agree with that? Final thoughts?
His money this year is guaranteed, right? He's this year's money's guaranteed. It's just not enough in his mind.
No, it's not.
His isn't it 23.5 total?
according to
That's his cap hit.
cap, which is Jack Duffin's favorite,
Yeah.
0 guaranteed salary.
0.
Ooh.
It
So-
is.
Yeah.
And his pay is actually 20 even. The cap hit is 23
Yeah.
because of whatever, but his pay this year is 20 even,
Right.
and none of it is guaranteed.
Right.
It's sticky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just find it hard pressed that he's going to be hold out all the way into the season. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, and we could be in a crazy standoff here, but
No, I mean he's going to be if they over ask, right? Like hypothetically, if they're over asking and they're nowhere near, he's gonna have to play because he has to prove he's going to be a free agent next year, and he has to go prove it. So both sides have like. As far as leverage goes, it feels like Cooper has leverage. Yes, he's their clear one. They need him for sure, and he has the right to ask for more based on the market. So he has leverage, but it only goes so far because if you over ask or don't negotiate in good faith to a certain extent, the Browns are going to say, all right, they're going to push away from the table and make him play out his deal on no guaranteed money, and he really has no choice at that point. He's not going to sit out a season, but then you're in a tough spot. I would say it strongly benefits both sides to come to an agreement.
oh, absolutely.
100% agree.
Yeah. So, which is why I think it'll get done. I was a little perturbed by the report that they were only offering 1 year guaranteed because I don't think that's going to do it. But did you hear Barry on NFL Network?
The
Andrew Barry?
outsiders or the insiders with
Insiders, yeah.
Rap Sheet and friends.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he just basically said we'll work out that contract stuff is kind of basically what he said, right?
He don't
won't
give you
talk.
anything, man.
He's not going to talk
That's
about
a
that.
lot.
Not giving you anything. I'm just pumped that my Brandon Ayuk dream is not totally dead. It's been revived. It was dead for several months.
Yes, I am somewhat excited that it is on the radar. I do feel like it's a little bit of a pipe dream, and I don't want the Browns to screw themselves up somehow in this Amari deal. I don't think you can
End up
do
with
it
nothing.
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But both sides need to be careful not to overplay their hand, right? So Cooper, you could end up playing out your deal this year. But also the Browns, if you force him to do that, and he goes out into the open market next year and gets paid 26 by somebody, and you don't have a real number one. Now are you going to use your first round draft pick on a one? We haven't got great drafting receivers. You need a tackle too, probably. So there's a lot on the, all of a sudden there's a lot more questions arising if that's the situation.
Drafting your wide receiver one, as we're talking about it right now, like you could get a talent as phenomenal as Brandon Ayuk and not pay off for 3 seasons.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you still wouldn't have a number one for an additional 2 seasons. I think the fact that the front office and Mulligata have a working relationship lends itself to them not over pursuing. Like they have a good feel for each other. I think they'll be able to meet in the middle somewhere.
Okay. Sounds good. I tend to agree. It's I was a little surprised by the report, but I thought they'd be closer already with the idea that they both know they need to come to a deal. But, they got some time to sort it out, right? So there we are. So you're watching All Eyes on Cleveland. We got Sam Penix with us tonight. Big Casey Kasem Case Dog. It's Hard Knocks Case. Speaking of Hard Knocks, let's get to Hard Knocks now.
Let's go.
So this year, I was just writing about this actually before the show, which is why I was behind. But so the Browns were last on Hard Knocks in 2018, and they will be, they're debuting a new format at Hard Knocks, HBO.
Which I love, by the way.
Yeah. So they've had the in-season one with the Cardinals and the Dolphins. I must admit I have not watched a lot of that. I actually have strangely enough, a good relationship with the showrunner of Hard Knocks, Ken Rogers. So he's been coming on All Eyes on Cleveland for like 7 years now. Every year, back to the 2018, he came on a couple times that season. He works for NFL Films. He's the showrunner. I texted him when this came out. I asked him if he was going to be involved. He said he was. I asked him a couple other questions, which he asked me not to quote him on. So, but either way, he will be. I can say this. So they're basically going to let the narratives, will be determined pretty clearly by what's going on with the team as far as the season goes, right? But they do intend to feature all 4 teams in every episode if possible, which is, to me, seems like difficult, right? Where you're going to designate 15 minutes to each team. But you've got a number of things here going on, right? So you've got, the AFC North, the first time last year, team all with winning records. It's going to be called Hard Knocks in season with the AFC North debuting Tuesday, December 3rd at 9 p.m. So the idea here is you get this division that is going to be they expect to be the best in football again. And they are going to cover it from all 4 teams' angles. They play each other a number of times down the stretch. They play some primetime games against other elite teams. So this should be really well done if they do it right, which I'm sure they will. But I want to kind of go around here. What are you guys' thoughts on... First of all, Sam, did you watch any of the in-season up to this point, in-season Hard Knocks?
I did not. The last time that I followed Hard Knocks as it was being released was 2018.
Yeah,
so
me too.
But like this is, definitely going to require a HBO subscription for a couple months. It was a blast following, training camp 7 years ago. Gosh, 6 years ago. Crazy.
You can borrow my password. I've got it. I've got HBO Max. You're covered.
Yeah, see, now you're going to get banned because this is public. So.
Oh, no.
You shouldn't have said that. Yeah, like it'll be. I'm sure there won't be as much drama from Cleveland side as there was back then, but I think it'll be really interesting to see the whole playoff race between all four, because we would expect at least 3, likely 4 out of the 4 to be in that playoff race. So it should be really entertaining to follow that, during such a crucial time of the season.
Yeah, the rivalries, the the stigma that comes with AFC North football, the rugged, physical. It's just a division unlike any other, and with all 4 teams as talented as they are, it should be terrific. I think. Case, where are you at with this?
So many places. First, I would start with, I don't think people understand how exciting Hard Knocks used to be, because we didn't have access to teams like the way we do now with Twitter accounts and Instagram and team-owned websites and state-run media. All this really didn't exist when Hard Knocks first started. So it was like you were starving for football. Hard Knocks, even if it wasn't your team, you would watch just to be in it, But we're desensitized to it now. So unless your team is in it, it's hard to care. To that point, I haven't watched any of the end season Hard Knocks. But I think that also is why they're switching to 4 teams to cast a wider net. It's good to start with the AFC North. When you look at what makes the AFC North the best division of football, it's the collection of quarterbacks, head coaches, and pass rushers. Like, if you just look at that, there's elite guys across the board, tons of storylines. All these teams play each other down the back of the stretch. They're going to be covering everybody. So I think it's going to be exciting. I don't like the idea of all 4 being on every episode. To your point, you're going to spend 15 minutes with each team. Is that consecutive? Is it split up? It's going to feel like they're juggling chaos, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And for us, it's kind of cool, because even though we follow every move the team makes and we watch every press conference, it's still a tight-lipped organization. So we might find out just a little more than we normally would, just because of the access these cameras will have on the team. But it also, man, it makes me just think where we were the last time this happened. Think of the state of the organization going into that 2018 season to where you are now. It is it's not even the same thing. It's not even we're coming off a 1-30, 1-31 or whatever it was going into that Hard Knocks, and it was just a bunch of hope. So
yeah, that's why they were in the lake.
Yep, jumped in the lake.
Oh my God. He's driving a bus. There's all kinds of things that we could think back to.
I just wrote about them all. I got them in front of mine.
Yeah. Fucking kicker. You know what I mean? There's the hut. There's a lot of things that came out of that. This is an actual legitimate organization now, where it wasn't. It was just some place trying to find their footing, sign some guys. We get a speech from Juice, it's a whole different, it makes me proud that we made it from whatever that was to whatever it is now,
Yeah, so that was one of the sections of the articles I read, of the article I'm writing for tomorrow. 2018 to 24 should be night and day. Now, the fact that it's in season, probably less emphasis on a lot of that stuff, but you still should notice the difference in the organization. Hugh Jackson was a buffoon, and now you've got Stefanski who's running, you know what I mean? So, and you had all the nonsense that went on with, you had Todd Haley and Freddie Kitchens calling him out, and you had Jarvis Landry, the speech, and you had, what's his name, giving financial advice. It was the goofiest, but the crazy thing to take away, listening to Hugh Jackson, talk to your number 1 overall pick, Baker Mayfield, and making no sense, and just not, it was just bad. It was just really bad. It was an embarrassing output, right? But if you had that microscope on the 2024 Browns, I think you're going to feel a lot better. And to that point, you also have to kind of say who benefits from this individually. Kevin Stefanski, big time, I think, because you got a 2-time coach of the year that most people around the country have no idea anything about. Right.
Steve Stefanski.
Steve, right, yeah. So, this gives him, an inside look around the country. Some people are going to see how good of a coach he is. Personally, that's how I feel. Schwartz will do great with his charisma and stuff like that in front of the camera. Jameis will do terrifically with the cameras and all that stuff. Watson
is another one.
Watson is a tough one because it depends on how the season's going, right? Like, so if he's doing really well, it could be a good thing for him because, you've had teammates say that he's a good leader and a good teammate. That's never really been the issue, right? But if he's doing poorly and struggling, it could be like the worst thing in the world for him to all of a sudden have cameras around.
How that extra spotlight
come December. So, I mean, in a pressure-filled season, this only amplifies it more on Watson, I think. So those are kind of some general thoughts I have around what it does this season. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I think you're right because it seems like mental has been the issue with him, because dealing with all the off-field stuff, which he brought on himself, like that is really shattering for someone's psyche to deal with. I heard Jake Burns talking about it. Like, he was in Houston, he was like superstar. Like he was adored by that fan base. He was the next big thing at quarterback, and then it all comes crashing down, and he's the most despised player in the league currently. And that's a dramatic shift in tone towards a person, public perception. And I think that's been difficult because he wasn't used to that at all. He was used to the exact opposite. And I don't know that he's over that yet. And if things are struggling and the fan base is like, hey, like, what's the deal? Like, where's the guy that we traded for? And he continues to play like he has the past 2 years, or isn't at least showing significant signs of getting back to that previous level of play. I think that could be pretty damning for him, like pretty effective in the wrong way, because it's going to shine more of a spotlight. Like Casey said, it's going to be like, I don't know. I don't remember how much creative control the team has over the show, but like, obviously if that's the current situation, like what are the show runners going to focus on? Like, it's going to be the quarterback. It's going to be that storyline, because that's what's going to draw the most eyes. That's going to what's going to get the most attention naturally. And again, like if things are going well and he's back to the player he was before, then he's going to go with the flow. It's going to be easy to keep, to take that in stride. And if it's going the way that it has before, it could be pretty disastrous.
Yeah. That's the other thing I was thinking of too, along with that. I think quarterbacks will be a big part of this, but I think that the timing may line up surrounding the Nick Chubb return from injury as well. So, I don't know when he's going to come back, but either way, that could be a storyline, I think, as well. What do you think about this case with Watson, and what other storylines do you think could be prevalent here? Obviously, I think this is going to be more geared towards like week-to-week preparation, the rivalries, the locker rooms, preparing to battle for a playoff spot, which I think will be highly entertaining. So, but along the way, you do have to realize that for some individuals, this could be damaging, and for some, it could be terrific. So, what do you think?
Yeah, well, Watson, when I think of Watson, it's like he's great at being a hammer and terrible at being a nail. He doesn't know how not to be beloved, and he's been had that light on him now for 2 seasons, and he hasn't really adapted to it. Instead of just putting your head down and just working, don't worry about any of the outside noise, because none of that matters if you win. So that's one thing that's going to shift that narrative. I think the one saving grace is they could focus on the quarterbacks, which means Russell Wilson could take the heat. Let Russell get in the camera. Let him be the national villain for just being the corniest robot ever invented.
Absolutely.
I think that could be the one saving grace for Deshaun Watson.
Agreed. Yeah, I can't wait to see Russ. Like, that's maybe my favorite part about this is to see the biggest douchebag in the NFL, like, try to navigate the Steelers locker room. Like, hilarious. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for him to try to, like, get him to yell pass and run on the sideline, or his obnoxious, I mean, just absurd.
High knees on the plane. Let's
Yeah.
go.
What a douche he is. All right, so that should be good. And then you've got, behind him, you've got a talented quarterback as well. So, yeah, I do have no love for us. I'm not a fan. You're absolutely right.
I'm sure the fact he plays for the rival now doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. But I've never been a fan.
Will
of
if he's
Russ.
terrible. If he's absolutely terrible, it'll be great. It'll be glorious. That's what the direction they went with. And from all indications, it doesn't sound like Fields is looking good in camp. Which, I mean, it's camp doesn't really mean anything, but I think the ultimate destination is Justin Fields is going to be the starter. I just hope Russ can hold him off long enough to get to the hard knocks, because that's what I need. That's what I need to see.
It's what I need in my life. Yeah. Give me that. Yeah, that's what I need. All right. So it should be fun, though. And we're going to cover it here. I think we're tossing around the idea of having a special show to recap it every week.
Sure.
And probably I'm going to have Ken on from NFL Films during that period to kind of talk about them shooting the show and how they did it and stuff. So all of that should be super entertaining. So make sure you hit subscribe, stick around, hit notification so you can pay attention to all of that coming down the line. All right, let's finish up here tonight with a couple things that Casey pointed out to me. So a little rules change, right? Designated return from IR, up to 8 players now they can designate to return, and 10 in the playoffs.
Yep, you get an extra 2 in the playoffs, and if you haven't used that many, you have a total of 10 if you're a playoff team.
That's awesome. And they, long time. I've never understood really why they limited it so much before, right? And then there's 2 preseason.
Mm-hmm.
So you can designate 2 preseason and bring back regular season. So that will, I believe, help with being able to designate preseason. Should help with the initial 53 a day after your other 53. Am I right on that, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, we see it every year where teams will do whatever they can to manipulate that rule. They always get around it, so it's like, why does this even exist?
Yeah.
And for I don't even remember what year it started, but they've just been gradually increasing that cap. Like Casey said, I don't understand why that rule ever existed in the first place. Like, I'm trying to think of like justifications in my head, and it's like,
I can't think of one.
So that other players get an opportunity in the event of an injury. Like, I can't think of a good reason why.
Are you guys familiar with the international pathway rule? Does that affect the 53 or just the 90? Where you can have a guy from the international pathway that doesn't count against your roster. I know that is true for the 90. I don't know if that transfers to the 53 or not.
I don't know the rule, but to me, I think once you go to game, I think he can be, I would assume he would be able to be on the 53 and not count, but you're still only going to be able to dress as many guys as you can. I mean, he's going to count against, you're not going to be able to dress an extra guy because of the pathway. That would make the most sense to me. Now, I don't know that as fact. That's just the way I would figure it shakes out, right? All right. Thoughts on this rule case?
No, I mean, make it more. Like, what are we doing here, man? There's a 100% injury rate in the NFL. If you play in the NFL, you're getting injured. Right. It just matters to the degree. And it just makes no sense to handcuff yourself the way they have. So I'm glad they're increasing it. I would like to see that go up, just as I would like to see the trade deadline get pushed back. Like, there's some rules that seems like they just hamstring themselves for no reason. Yeah.
Making progress. Moved it back 1 week, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. And this is progress as well. So, But yeah, I don't. To both of your points, I don't get the purpose of restricting it at all, really. So, I don't know. The other thing we're going to look at tonight here is we were on the topic of wide receivers, but PFF came out with their wide receiver. I guess it's not wide receiver. It's pass catcher. Yeah, pass catcher rankings, which we're going to look at. And then we'll get you out of here, but I want to look at this first. Let's see if I can pull this off here today properly without any further.
You're 1 for 1 so far.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, there we go. All right, so
2 for 2.
Can you see that? Can everybody see that? I can make it bigger.
I can see it just fine.
All right, that's good. All right, so we got number 1 here with the Niners. Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, and McCaffrey in the passing game. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. So that's their 1. Dolphins, not surprised to see them high with Tyreek Hill, Waddle, Jonnu Smith, A-Chain. Yeah. So who else did they? Oh, Beckham, right? And
oh yeah,
they added Odell. Not that really would increase their stock on this list, but Philly at 3 with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. They added Saquon Barkley to the running back room. Dallas Goedert at tight end. The Bears at 4. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, DeAndre Swift. Houston at 5. Diggs to Nico Collins and Dell. Mechie, Robert Wood, Noah Brown, Dalton Schultz. Vikings at 6. Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, Addison. Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Laporta, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs. Who?
DPJ.
DP. He's not.
That's right.
Khalif Raymond is it looks like on their, they have on their 2, right? Is their 2. The Rams at 8 with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. The Bengals, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, not for long. Seattle Seahawks, DK, Tyler, and Jackson, they kept the band together there somehow. I thought for sure that Lockett was going to be out of there this offseason, but nope. They are bringing all 3 back. Number 11, Tampa Bay with Evans, Godwin. Who do they have here? Rashad White, Bucky Irving, Trey Palmer, and Jalen McMillan.
I don't know who the tight end is.
Yeah, that's what I
Otten
was
still
thinking too. Maybe they had. Was it Otten? Was that who it was last year? The Titans at 12 with DeAndre Hopkins. Calvin Ridley stays within the same division. Treylon Burks. They added Tyler Boyd. And they have Chig. I forget. Okonkwo, yeah.
Yep.
As his last,
And Tajay Spears, I think he's going to be nasty out of the backfield in the passing game.
Tony Pollard as well.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins in Atlanta with Drake London. Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney, Rondell Moore, Bijan. And, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian, Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, Aaron Jones, and Josh Jacobs. Wow.
That's a crazy ton of young players that haven't really identified themselves as who's a 1, who's a 2, but like ton of playmakers all
sure
growing together. I like that collection of talent right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes that works better for the young quarterbacks too, because they're not zeroed in on one guy.
Yeah, you have to feed a certain guy's
Yep.
matchup dependent. And
It's a great point, Sam. Absolutely. Dallas Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks coming off his lowest receiving grade since his rookie season with a 70. Jalen Tolbert, tight end Jake Ferguson. Does this deserve 15?
no, I'm trying to hold back from saying it.
Yeah,
CeeDee
I
Lamb's
don't-
doing
I don't know how
a lot
that's
of
a
heavy
15.
lifting there.
Yeah. I get Lamb as the legit, like, elite receiver.
Every time there they finally are.
Kansas City, or the Browns. Kansas City, Kelsey at 16. Hollywood Brown, McCole Hardman, Xavier Worthy. If Rashee Rice can build on what he did last, what's the deal with Rice?
Yeah, how about not only if he can build on what he did last season, what if he's still around? Or
Yeah, is he
isn't
still?
suspended for half the year?
Yes. The Raiders in front of the Browns at 17. Devontae Adams. No mention of any other receivers.
Jacoby Myers.
There it is. Yeah, Michael
then
Mayer,
Adams.
Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
Is that better than what the Browns have? Really?
I'm gonna say no. I mean,
I
I
don't-
like Brock Bowers a lot, but it's
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot there outside of the main three.
So they look Browns. This spot could be too low for the Browns, led by wide receiver Amari Cooper, tight end David Njoku, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman have yet to make their mark in Cleveland, and now Nick Chubb's availability and overall status are unknown after a season-ending injury. Jerry Jeudy, who Cleveland acquired in trade this offseason, hasn't lived up to his Alabama hype. Well, he hasn't played it down yet in Cleveland, so let's come on now. The Browns receiving core has a higher ceiling than some other teams ranked near them, and this would be a big prove-it year. So that's a fair assessment. I'd like to see him a little higher ranked.
Yeah, I think this should be above Dallas. I'm just being honest. I mean, and when you're breaking it down, I wouldn't even mention Nick Chubb's name because even if he was healthy, he's not that guy.
Exactly.
But if you look at what Jerome Ford was able to do, I mean, only one other running back caught more touchdowns than Jerome Ford in the NFL last year, and that was Christian McCaffrey. Like, he caught 5. You know what I mean? That's not nothing. He's an outlet guy. He's not a route runner. But then you had Nyheim Hines. There's a ton of promise in this room, is what I would say. But you know what you have in Cooper and Njoku. I think that's a very good base to start with. Then you got some guys that have high upside, and could be playmakers.
Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think 18 is too low. I disagree with the first sentence of the second paragraph too. Like, yeah, Tillman hasn't done much, but Elijah Moore was pretty good the second half of 2023 once they stopped trying to use him as a gadget guy. Like, that's not what he didn't. It's just frustrating because, like, that wasn't his game in college. He was a really talented separator on the outside who could win at multiple levels of the field. I get he's undersized, but he just got open, and then they tried to run jet sweeps and stuff with him. Like, he doesn't have like, I think he ran like a 4.3, but he's not like the just absolutely take the top off the defense, and he's not like I don't even know who's a guy who's super effective at running jet sweeps. Like, that's not him either. The short area quickness. He's a really good route runner on the outside, and that's his game. And then once they finally started to let him do that, he started producing. So
Yeah.
I think if you have Cooper on the outside, Moore on the other side, Jeudy in the slot, and Njoku at tight end, and then you have Hines as your receiving back as well as Ford, because Chubb, that like Casey said, that's not his game. He's never been a high volume, high production guy out of the backfield because it's not his game. But I think the guys who are there are all really good, and I don't think that they get enough recognition because of, I think, the quarterback position and just how it's been subpar.
I also think
Fair.
Hines could be your gadget guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's definitely more suited for that role than anyone else that they have. Like you'd expect him to be your kickoff returner probably. So, he's the opposite of Chubb as a running back, not in skill, but in ability as far as like what he's good at. He's not your between the tackles, give him hundreds of carries a year. He's your third down, catch swing passes, etc.
They've got Baltimore at 23. Flowers. Bateman, still waiting on him. Mark Andrews. And does that seem low for them?
I think from current production standpoint, no. But
Okay.
if everyone on that offense lives up to their talent level, then that's definitely too low.
Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews just raised them in my mind just because of the way Lamar
Yeah.
filters the ball to the middle of the
Really
field.
good duo there. Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of thinking of. And
Did they draft him?
Nelson.
And Zay's a
Nelson.
volume guy.
Yeah, Zay's gonna. I think Zay's gonna be a good player, and Bateman still hasn't proven anything. But Nelson Aguilar actually did a pretty good job for them at times last year too.
They got Tez Walker. That was the guy they drafted.
That's
anymore.
right. Yeah, my name.
Deep
No
threat,
mention.
so that adds a wrinkle.
Yeah, but likely your point. You're right. Likely and Andrews is the key there, right? So, New Orleans, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh down at 26.
Love to see it.
Pickens came in at number 30 on PFF's preseason wide receiver list and leads the pack in Pittsburgh with Deontay Johnson no longer there. Rookie receiver Roman Wilson should get a good amount of playing time this year too. Tight end Pat Freiermuth coming off a 68.8 PFF receiving grade, and running back Jalen Warren posted a 72.9. It's a decent group with a lower ceiling after Johnson's departure. Fair? Yeah, I think it's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about
I like
where they should be.
Freiermuth. That's a piece that I like. But none of those guys strike fear in your heart.
Buffalo Bills at 27. That's crazy, right? They have Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Curtis Samuel now.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants have Malik Neighbors, Wandale Robinson, Darius Slayton, and Jalen Hyatt. Bellinger and Theo Johnson. The Panthers added Leggett, your boy, Case, and Deontay Johnson. They should be better at wide receiver than they've been. Judy, no longer a Bronco. So it's Cortland Sutton's room to command. Team brought in Josh Reynolds, drafted Troy Franklin, and Marvin Mims can be a deep threat. They're
I'm surprised
30th.
Samaje Perine was still in the league.
Yeah, he's hanging around. He's carved out a niche for himself. Solid.
Chargers.
Chargers.
31, man.
Chargers still
Herbert any
have
favors, are they?
Josh Palmer, DJ Shark, Lad McConkey. Uh-oh.
They listed his name, Brad.
Brendan Rice. What?
They listed his name in the profile form.
Get the hell out of here. He should just not be listed in that.
Man, just
That's
let
why
you
the
know,
whole
Brad,
reason
huge
you
Brendan
gave.
Rice fan.
That's
Huge.
the whole reason you sent me this article, isn't it, Casey? I
didn't read
know
that
you
far
too
down,
well.
dude. You gave me way too much credit. It's just the way the football gods work tonight.
I am flabbergasted that they dared and mention Brendan's Rice name.
I know
in
they
their
should be
plans of
way
wide
higher than
receiver.
31 then, right?
Shut up. Patriots dead last.
Whew.
Yeah. Jalen
I
Polk.
remember when the Browns room looked like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Talking about
Back when they
Hawkins
were on
and
Hard Knocks the first
Sneed.
time.
It's not fun.
I remember those rooms.
So I realized this when I started doing my article, but so that off season of Hard Knocks in 2018 started with, I don't want to give away too much of what I'm writing about, but Josh Gordon tweeted that he wasn't going to be at camp.
Yeah.
They traded away Corey Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
And Antonio Callaway got arrested for driving with suspended license and
It wasn't
marijuana
his weed,
possession.
Brad. He said it wasn't his. Okay.
Sorry, yeah, but
Oh,
that's
just-
that's
It was a
how
rental
camp.
car and it was someone
yeah.
else's weed.
That's how camp started
Yep.
in 2018.
Oh God.
I remember being like, "What? Why is Josh Gordon not coming to camp?" Like, what?
I will admit though they did an amazing job with the drama. Like when they ended the one episode and it was just like him and the music they were playing. Like he was just walking and it was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then like nothing. Like he just kind of was like there. And then he comes in week 1, catches that touchdown against Pittsburgh, and then they trade him. And I was like, okay, like that was a very sad moment.
It
Yes,
was.
it was.
I just remember they kept focusing on Cajuste and his love of stones,
Oh yeah,
and gems
Yeah.
and whatnot, and Carl
That's right.
Nassib's financial advice.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. And then, which he called back to this year at the NFL draft, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, he's
happened.
still not rich following his advice. So
Right.
it's been like I feel like it's been long enough. I should be further along by now. What's going on?
What was Kajuste's first name?
That's a great
Devin.
question.
Devin?
Devin with an O.
Yeah. Devin Kajuste. Rocks. He likes rocks.
Brad, I have a request before we get out of here.
Sure.
I slid in your DMs and sent you a picture. I need you to pop up here and let the people vote.
Was this what I think it is?
Usually he gets me with a picture. It's been a while.
It has. Let me grab it. I saw you sent it. I looked at it. I don't see it.
Okay,
As
let's see if
much.
everyone else sees it. Maybe I'm crazy.
I mean, I do kind of see it. Just the hair is hard to unsee. You know what I mean?
No.
No, you don't. You don't know.
Now I'm going to Photoshop that hair on Tomlin, and we're going to figure it out.
Yeah, remove the variable from the picture and see.
While we're
Which-
waiting, did you see that your boy Poofy had twisted up his locks?
Yeah, I did. I know.
Are you
Somebody
sad?
pointed it out to me during this press conference, and I said he looks great. He did. He did look great. No.
Rocking the visor.
What am I doing right now?
I don't know. I thought you were pulling up the picture from.
I was, but
Show
then
the
I shh. I lost. Here we go. All right, now we got it. Dang it. I was trying to download it, and I shouldn't have been. I don't know why I was trying to download it. We're just going to share the screen. Window. Come on now. There it is. All right, folks. Are you ready for this? At Casey's request.
How can you not see it? That's the same guy.
The eyes are the same. It's the facial expression. Like
They do look a lot alike. You're right.
I'm not one to believe in government conspiracies, but I think this is pretty much proof that we've figured out how to clone humans.
Yeah, they pretty much proof right there. Yeah, so yeah, the eyes very much facial. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's his son. Said Broken Arrow. Yep. All right, Casey, you win another one.
Vindicated.
You win
My
another
biggest
one.
beef. On my
Hold
sweet
on.
prince.
So yeah,
he's gonna be trophy case next week.
So
don't give me any ideas. There we go.
Puffy had this. If you saw him at his interview, his hair was he had he had what, twisted in locks.
Yeah, he obviously is a listener of All Eyes on Cleveland.
Yeah, and he took our advice about looking more professional in front of his players. So, and he did. He looked much better than this, because this is hard to take seriously. And then, of course, we'll leave you with this, as always. Small hands, big dreams.
Big dreams.
Can't wait for to get some footage of him in a Guardian helmet and his baby hands in Philadelphia, so we can update this picture.
I don't root for injuries, but if he can be the starter when we play Philly.
Yeah.
Week 6. Let's go.
Yeah. So there it is. That's what we're all about here on All Eyes on Cleveland, just so you know. It's a lifestyle. All right. Big thanks to the one and only Sam Penix at Sam_Penix. He is excellent film study NFL draft resource and writes for Fansided previously of Pro Football Focus. Any parting words tonight, Sam?
I don't think so. I mean,
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I'm just still trying to take in the picture there. Honestly, like
it's tough.
I gotta wrap my head around that. I can't do it.
Shirts were made. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Shirts were made.
We do have shirts with
appreciate
this
you guys
on
having
it.
me on.
Yeah.
If only for that. Like
it's jarring at first when you first. I do have to admit, it's jarring at first when you first see it. Like, how could the PR team possibly have been like, hey, look at how big Pickett's head looks with that Guardian helmet on, and look at how small his baby hands are on that football. Maybe we should zoom in and take a picture of that.
It took me a minute to wrap my head around the fact that is not Photoshop. That happened. That existed. So
this is real life, folks. This is real life. Any parting words? Hard Knocks case.
Now we just outlasted my screensaver. I think the show's over, dude. It was up and it just went away right when you popped on me. So
I guess that means it's time to go.
Yeah, we're 0 dark 30. We're in the dark time here. We're not going to hear too much, and if you hear stuff, it's typically not good. Like we got news today. Let's hope there's no more of that on the way.
Yeah. Hopefully we can just show this picture for the next 6 weeks and not have to focus on anything bad like there you go. Focus on anything bad like arrests and driving into restaurants and whatnot, and asking where you're going and saying I was right out front. Well, we know that. So thank you guys both. Fantastic job. Follow Casey on Twitter at Casey_Kinnaman and listen to Off the Leash and the Barking Browns podcast. This has been another edition of All Eyes on Cleveland on the OBR streaming network. Make sure you tell a friend, hit like, hit subscribe, keep coming back. If you watched on X, hop on over and atone for your sins, hit like and subscribe, notification bell so you know every time we go live. We will see you next week. Keep it locked. For Sam and Casey, my name is Brad Ward. We are out.